Hi, and welcome to Behind the Building, a series where we will be bringing you regular updates on our dedicated sanctuary construction project. So I wanted to spend just a couple of minutes catching you up on where we are in the project. But before we even do that, I want to help all the viewers get an idea on layout. How are things orientated? Where are we? Where is this building going? What's going behind that building? Yada, yada, yada. So where I'm standing right now is on what will be, I believe, the stage and the new sanctuary. And the way that the new building is going to be orientated is this direction. So going towards the east, if you will, the back of the stage will be going towards the east. The doors will be facing to the west. So for those of you who visit or regularly attend or members of Amplify, our existing building is running sort of north to south. I don't think it's exactly north to south, but basically north to south. And that new building will be orientated perpendicular to the existing building. So I'm looking at the front of our existing building right now. And we'll drop aerial shots in. We'll show you some B-roll, different things to kind of give you a better idea of how that looks. But I'm just describing to you how everything sort of works together, so you're not confused as we walk around the property and we see things. Now, let's get on to the progress. The past few weeks, EHE Construction has been moving tons and tons of dirt. Why have they been moving so much dirt? Well, number one, we needed to have a flat area for the slab of the new building. For the sidewalks, for all the area that will be considered the actual building, that needed to be relatively flat and level. So it didn't actually require much dirt to be moved for that because this area was already relatively flat from the previous construction project of the existing building. What's been taking up most of the time and energy is working on the parking lot. Now, I know the word parking lot might give a few people stress that are regular attenders or members here at Amplify because we're running out of parking. But not to worry, the new parking lot is coming along with the new building. We'll have a lot more parking spaces to offer. So that parking lot requires the slope or the elevation of the land to definitely change. During the existing building construction project, a lot of dirt was moved and stockpiled along this area of the property because they knew they were going to need that dirt later for the dedicated sanctuary phase. That dirt has been sitting there for the past 4 years, almost 4 years, and now is being moved from this side of the property to this side of the property. And the reason for that, if you've been here in person, you know it, the slope of the land was very dramatic. So it kind of just stepped off several feet and then eventually stepped off again down to the pond. And obviously all those big steps weren't going to be very conducive towards roads and parking lots. So all of the effort that they've been investing in moving this dirt has been getting us a relatively flat or a gently sloped surface for the parking lot and certainly a flat surface for the building. So I'm going to go over to that side of the property and kind of show you just how dramatic those elevation changes are and what they've been doing. But before I even do that, I want to ask you as a viewer, what do you want to see in these videos? I'm talking right now, giving you a general overview, but that doesn't mean we need to do this every single time. So just put down in the comments, like, what do you want to see? You want to see action? You want to see more description of how things are working? You want to get into the technical details? Do you want to see equipment? Like, let us know because, you know, we have a lot of fun doing this. It's honestly a blast to film these guys doing their job, and they work hard at it. And there's a lot of interesting details that are in it. But you as our audience, we want to make sure we're giving you what you're looking for. So drop some comments down in the video. Let us know what you're looking for, and we're going to get on to the action. So if I don't talk to you again, I'll see you on the next episode of Behind the Building. now we're standing over near the pond, which is the original grade, the original elevation of the property. And anybody who's been here and looked just past the building where we currently call our auditorium, you know this area, and this is not going to be changing, at least not past the silt fence. In fact, the silt fence is the boundary of the construction project, but nothing's going to be changing outside the silt fence. This is all going to stay as it is currently. Now I'm going to pan over and show you what is changing because it's pretty dramatic. This area over here is what's being raised. So I was previously standing up there behind that building, our existing building, and you can see already how much this dirt has been piled up and almost to where you can't see the ground where I was standing. Well, that's eventually going to be compacted down. It's not going to be quite as tall as it is right now, but we're just giving you an idea of how much dirt has already been moved from one side of the property to the other. Now, I also am going to touch on this ditch in just a minute, but I want to walk along here and kind of give you an idea of the elevation change and what it's all for. So as we walk along this space here, this was a ditch that was the drainage ditch from the parking lot out to the retention pond. And that is going to be changing, and I'll get into that in just a minute. But I'm going to take you and kind of give you a perspective from being on the low side of it, which is usually when you can tell just how dramatic or just how different things are. But as I walk along here, I'm going to raise up, and hopefully what you can see is that's where the equipment is sitting, which is significantly higher than where I'm standing. So I think I have my camera about, let's say, 7-8 feet up in the air. And now you can barely see that dump truck. So that's just how much dirt has already been moved. Now these markers indicate the edge of the new, what's going to be the new culvert or the new drainage system. But also these markers down here designate where the land's got to come up to gently slope up to a road base, which will be the new road to take you back by the sanctuary out to the parking lot. So the new road's going to run along here and go all the way down to here, which will be the back of the parking lot. So now we're back to where we started earlier. And this is the original culvert and ditch system that was installed to carry the runoff water from the property over to our retainage ditch. Well, that's going to be changing, and this is no longer going to be an open ditch. It's actually going to be a pipe drainage system that will be buried. And this pipe over here is all got to be put in before that ditch is going to be covered up. So I measured this pipe. It's 24 inches in diameter. As you can see, it's pretty big, a corrugated plastic pipe. And the EHE construction will be installing all of that down along this ditch. Once they get it to a certain elevation that they're happy with, they'll be putting that pipe in and then eventually covering it up. So the edge of the construction area that will be noticeably changing anyways is along the stake line. This is the sort of the edge of the project, at least going west. Now let me take you to the back and we'll show you what it looks like from the south. Okay, we're on the south side of the project, well, the southwest corner, if you will, of the project itself. And I just don't think the camera does it justice, but that is such a dramatic change in the elevation. I mean, where I'm standing now is original grade. And as you look back up towards the building, you can see how much dirt has been moved over to that, let's call it the northeast corner. A lot of dirt's been moved there, and I believe more dirt's coming down here to continue bringing this up to the appropriate grade. Okay, so now we're at the southeast corner of the project, and this should give you a pretty good idea of just how much material has been moved this week alone. I believe it's all been this week, because last week when I came out here, they had dug a hole to kind of find the bottom that they were looking for. And that hole is gone because all the dirt around it is also gone, and all that's left are these little mini mountains in the middle, which represent the original ground that they were starting from. So I'm hoping this kind of gives you a sense for how much material has been already moved from point A to point B and how much still has to go. But let me get up close and personal on a couple of these little mini mountains and just show you the height difference. So I made it over here to the mini mountain to show you the difference in elevation change already. This stake that's up here indicates 5 feet, and that was the top or the original ground, if you will, from where they started. And now where I'm standing down here, it's dropped 5 feet. So 5 feet doesn't seem like a lot of change, but as I look around and just see how much dirt has been moved in order to get down to 5 feet, it's a pretty significant amount of change. Let me show you. Okay, I wanted to show you how this is going to look in terms of the distance from the edge of the new dedicated sanctuary building, the sidewalk that will be beyond that building, and then the parking lot. So you can see this lip right here, that's the little step down for the parking lot. So this is where the parking lot will begin. And then as we walk up, we'll come to this caution tape, which again is the edge of the new building. So this is that corner. This is the southeast corner of the building. And then that is the northeast corner of the building. So this footprint right here is the building. And again, we'll throw the drone up in the air and give you some aerial shots of what this looks like. But I just wanted to give you an idea on layout, where everything is, where it's located and how it relates to the other structures that you already know and use on a regular basis. Okay, so the equipment. This is always interesting and exciting for people online because, you know, who doesn't love giant construction equipment? And what we have here is the John Deere 300G. As you can see by the label, it is I would consider a very large excavator, especially when you see it in comparison to what looks like a pretty normal size excavator over there. But the 300G, I think I counted around 6 buckets is what it took for him to load the haul truck, which we're going to show you in just a second. So, I mean, this is a lot of material moving very quickly. And the size of this machine is pretty significant. In fact, I'm going to try to put myself in the shot and show you just how big this machine is compared to the machine sitting next to it. And I think that comparison really helps just to get an idea on size. So just give me a minute, let me set the camera down, and I'll show you a person next to the machine to give you an idea of what size difference we're talking about. Okay, so this camera is basically level with my head. And as you can see, the cab is just below, about around shoulder height. And then the tracks are hitting me about midway, about waist. So I'm around 5'6", not very tall, but you can see in relation to a person, this is a pretty big piece of equipment. Now let me bring you over here to the 130 and show you what a difference it looks like going from what I would call a big machine to a relatively normal or smaller machine. Okay, now I'm next to the 130 and you can see same camera angle, same height. You can see that the tracks are well below my waist and that the cab is hitting me around my waist. So you can just see in that quick little comparison from machine to machine, this one's significantly smaller than that one. All right, we'll move on to the haul truck. So this is the Volvo 25. It is a 28-ton, I looked it up, a 28-ton capacity off-road haul truck. So it's articulated, which means the cab can bend here in the middle, so they can go around sharp corners and be able to navigate uneven terrain. And anybody who has a regular or standard pickup truck will know that a half-ton pickup truck is, by name, a half-ton. This is 28 tons, so it can do 28 of what a standard pickup truck can do in terms of scale. Now, I know it doesn't necessarily give you a great idea seeing it sitting still, but when we show you the footage of how much dirt this thing is moving, I think it'll bring it all into perspective on the scale that these machines are working at.